Entrance slip, guys. Put your name at the top of your note card when you are finished. Just turn these over and put them in the middle of your table and I'll pick them up. But here's what I want you to respond to. What is the Scarlet Ibis really about?
Scarlet Ibis really about? That's what we're like supposed to.
What is the Scarlet Ibis really about?
Is it really?
You're finished. Turn these over and put them in the middle of your table. And obviously just double check that you've explained your idea well enough so it's like beyond obvious you actually read the story.
Yeah, accident.
Take another 30 seconds or so to finish your response. And once your card is turned over in the middle of your table, you can pull out your copy of the Scarlet Ibis. For those of you that were reading in the textbook, just raise your hand, and Ms. Miller will give you a textbook version.
Hi. What are you doing? How you doing?
Oh, my
Gee,
goodness.
what the hell are you doing?
I'm not. I think my reading level is better than you
What?
Oh, my tax was like,
I don't know what you said. Thank you. What? What?
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, to that, here are a couple of things that I want you to discuss, okay? I'm gonna give you about 5-6 minutes to discuss the story at your table, okay? What important emotional stuff do you remember? Because just like we did with Angels in the Snow, we're gonna come up with a list of concepts that the Scarlet Ibis is really about, okay? What surprised you? What did the author assume you knew? And then what is this story really about? Thinking like how you previewed this here for me. Now share this at your table. So let's take like 5 minutes or so just to kind of hash this out at your table, okay? Begin.
Okay, I'm not gonna talk about
I think the most important part is
well, the pudding stuff.
Yes.
You remember, I remember that, it felt like, really? So this is for you, someone was dead, but I don't know nothing. Anybody else think so? Surprise. Okay, we're done. Next question. What surprised you? Okay, next question. What did the author say you knew? Okay, what is the story really about? Okay, we're done. Oh, did you have things to say?
The office. Not on this level. I think the story's I think that's accurate. I think what the story
You're
really
done.
about is
Everyone, what is number one? What two? What three?
I guess like could have been like he has a condition where it's like not supposed to
think she's brother well.
his brother left him. But I got my son getting freaked out.
That's actually really good.
Well, I thought that not giving up watching.
Scarlet Abyss?
It's called an ibis. Abyss is a different word, but it's spelled A-B-Y-S. You're shouting into the abyss. That's this. Ibis.
What type?
Abyss. I'll find a list. Great question.
Hey, anybody have to say for either two? No? Okay, we are done. You guys are so good. Actually do something. Hey, you need to stop breathing now. Yeah, well,
I think I
I was like, I was
No, I'm not. You're watching the book I'm reading. I mean, you're reading. Let me see. Just, you don't want me when you need the bag. No, you will get, just let me see. I will not do
Basically,
that.
just don't treat everything.
Give it. I'm just let me see.
There you go.
Let's try and be exactly how we wanted, and then just talk.
You mean a flamingo?
Let's put the long shirt on the nose as long as it's not by the same model.
So it's just a flamingo with a long carrot. Okay, let me just.
A long carrot on it.
Let me know.
Oh, shoot, that blue bag.
Maybe that's why you didn't get hit.
All right, it sounds like we're wrapping up. So, what's some emotional stuff that, even though you read this yesterday, what's the important stuff? The stuff that probably the author James Hurst is using the signpost to get us to understand. Seth?
What was important?
Yeah, what's like the bit, like the stuff that you should be remembering?
The game changer was how they didn't like their brother at all. They wanted the main character wanted to have the pride that they didn't have a crippled brother,
Interesting. Do we agree or disagree?
Kind of agree.
and that basically decides the whole story of it now.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Agree or disagree? Sam,
I agree on the way that like his brother was like selfish in a way.
the older brother. Yeah. The older brother, he gets named, what is his name?
Doodle. His real name's William Armstrong.
William Armstrong. Doodle is the younger brother. The older brother never gets named.
Seriously?
Wait, what?
Maybe it was
Never
for the
gets
best.
He never gets named.
The man with no name.
He never gets named. Now,
I
why
kind
might this be?
Oh, boy. I think
It's from his perspective, but we do see dialogue where Doodle's calling, brother, don't leave me, brother. Think about that. Why may the narrator of this story not choose to name himself? Just hold on to that for just a
That's a good
second.
observation.
I know.
Interesting observation, interesting observation. So, we've got the important stuff that this is a story about brothers. Pride works its way in.
Selfishness.
Selfishness works its way in. What else important, like even in, like pivotal scenes in the story would be what? Monica, idea?
When he like took his little brother up to the bar, he was like, "This is your casket."
Okay.
That is
Ugh,
that's brutal.
And then he made him touch it because he was like, "Touch it or I'll leave you."
Uh-huh.
That was kind of sad because like first off, why would you tell a little kid that, especially someone with like his problems, and then why would you force him to touch it knowing that he's kind of freaked out if you leave, but due to the fact of his problem.
These are all very good questions, all very good questions. So the one important scene is where the older brother takes Doodle up in the like hay loft where his father, or where their father has stored this casket because they thought he was going to die when he was a baby. Interesting. Trevor, what's another important thing to remember about the story?
Well, it's kind of like the older brother is really doing all this for himself, kind of going on the selfishness thing.
Okay.
He's like, I don't want to have to deal with a brother that can't do everything that people in school can, and he doesn't want to be embarrassed by his little brother.
Okay, so that embarrassment factor goes in there too. But we're absolutely right here. He invests a lot of time. And you never see the older brother ditch Doodle to go hang out with his friends. We assume there are probably friends around, but it's just the two of them. So this investment of time is true and real, and I would wager is maybe there is an aspect of selfishness isn't in it, but then there's also some real pride that happens. when Doodle makes progress, he seems genuinely happy for him. Okay, great point. What else?
Oh, man.
What else is important? I could very easily call in Karen out, but I won't. Nolan, what else is important, worth remembering about the story?
Well, it kind of shows how like every little thing has an impact, and
Okay.
they continuously try, because in the beginning of the story, it stated that like there was no way that he was gonna ever be able to walk, but then they continuously worked at it, and eventually he was able to walk.
Okay, so thinking even like the parts of the story, the emotional stuff, that as a baby, he's not expected to do anything. In fact, he is, like Monica said, expected to die. But, Nolan?
They work at it, and he eventually is able to walk, but it also shows later how the story ends, how every little detail has an effect, and obviously his big brother wasn't purposely trying to do what happened at the end of the story.
Yeah, let's let the cat out of the bag. If you didn't read it, sorry, you have deprived yourself of one of the biggest, like, pull the rug out from under you in all of the literature. Doodle dead! Doodle's dead at the end of the story.
Very good.
So dead! Poor little Doodle.
That's a little brutal. Jeez.
Okay?
I'm
So,
sorry about that.
the emotional stuff at the end of the story, obviously it's emotional when somebody dies, but let's layer it on. What are the layers of this onion of Doodle's death that's like, oh, dang. Oh,
I wouldn't say that.
Doodle! Okay, what else? Nick?
Yeah, going off of what the past few people have said, and you're asking, I think what I was gonna say is puts all that together. Like you should not just diss on someone. You should not just judge a book by its cover. You should treat others how you want to be treated, and you should because like this is what happens. You just get too invested all up in yourself, and you disown them until they do what you want to do, and then you get so full of yourself.
Okay, let's talk about the death scene though. What's like absolutely important about that death scene?
That he realizes he's gone, and the older brother's really upset because
He left him behind. He's upset at the end. What else? Think easier here, Ilario.
He left him behind consciously.
He
He didn't like leave. He wasn't like not watching him and he fell behind. He did it on purpose.
He wanted to outrun him in that last scene. Yeah, absolutely. Mateo?
There's also a part at the beginning where he, like, as a younger mind, he was saying how he would kill his brother if he wouldn't show any, like, if he didn't show, like, he would rather kill his brother than, like, he started plotting how to kill him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's kind of gross.
With a pin.
And a lot of it's sort of like kid humor, kid funny, like, but it is, I mean, the fact that the brother is the one remembering what he did early on in Doodle's life should be telling us something for sure.
I think we don't know his specific name about the older brothers, but I don't think he wanted to upset anyone by giving out maybe his name that might have not been purposely put in there.
Maybe.
But I don't I'm just imagining it's the older brother's anonymous because if someone finds out his name, they'd be upset.
Okay, maybe. So thinking conceptually. Oh, it doesn't.
It's Basil.
Thinking conceptually, what are some concepts that would apply to this story? Seth.
Well, about last time I was something we were on before. Laura made a very good observation on how he died.
Yeah.
Yeah, he died because she thinks he dies because of strain and because he has a weak heart and everything.
Yeah, it's not spelled out, and even though probably the brother now in present day, as he's remembering back on the story, he probably would have a better sense. He leaves that to leave us wondering, okay? We also left out the pretty important part about this bird that looked like this. Fell down out of the tree. That's another real important part, okay? But thinking about concepts, because you guys did such a nice job with what is this story really about, what are some concepts, like one-word concepts that could apply that we could like kind of trampoline off of into a potential
What does
theme?
signpost work?
Callie,
Pride.
pride. What's another one? Mateo?
I have a question.
Yeah?
Is this based on a real story or? Because why?
Like
else
a
would-
real life, like nonfiction? No, it's a story. It's not based on a story. It is a story, but I don't think it's, even though it's,
Is it like real?
right, even though it feels like a memoir, like somebody's actually telling this, I think it's just fiction and this first person narrator is telling a fictionalized story, okay? Yeah, Colton, what's it?
Selfishness.
I
Selfishness.
just said that. Cole, you better stop stealing my phone. Shut up.
Selfishness is great, Monica.
Shut up.
Embarrassment,
Shellfish.
Selfish.
what else, Nick?
I think, like, would it be too far to go saying like all of the 7 deadly sins on here, like pride, envy, lust, greed? Because like,
Lust?
That's what the,
oh,
Lust is a little too saucy for this story.
that's
But
the other story.
Explain, what is, so thinking about, because Nick makes a point about the 7 deadly sins that they're all really good concepts. A lot of fine literature is based on.
minus
So-
envy.
Out, like envy, does he envy?
No.
Not really.
Not
The
greedy.
kid
envies
He's not
that his
lustful.
brother isn't
He's not slobbing.
Yeah, I would
I
say.
don't know if he envies that, maybe he regrets that. I think I think regret would fit the story really
Yeah,
well.
regret,
The
greed.
sheer fact that
He regrets.
the story gets told, okay? What else? This is a good start,
Like conforming.
Ooh.
That's what I thought.
Good job. Conforming or
Anger.
Normality.
Normality, yeah, that's the word.
Anger.
Trying to do wrong.
Emma, what do you mean by like
Right.
conforming, or to put that as a noun, conformity?
Did you just use that word?
Because he tried, like, eventually what led up to his brother dying was him trying to make him like other people,
Mhm.
which kind of shaped the story.
Right. Okay, I can absolutely see it. Totally. Nick, last one.
Anger.
Anger? Yeah, I could maybe see anger.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say.
This is a great start. Yeah, Keith.
Could be jealousy.
He's frustrated.
How?
How
Because
could it be jealousy?
because he's upset because he got named. And
What?
Why?
he didn't. Is he
Maybe.
named?
Jealous.
The story is to be.
I wonder-
But he's telling the story.
Grief.
Man,
Grief?
we already got regret.
No?
I was thinking there was a bit of hope in it.
Interesting. How?
Just because he kind of hopes for change and like he wants things, like he doesn't want the things that have occurred to occur, he wants like a different outcome.
And they do make progress.
Okay, I see where you're going with the first part, but then he wants a different outcome, seems to
Regret.
regret there. I think this is a really good list in progress, okay? And the reason I bring this up is because now the next step, working independently here, is to reread the Scarlet Ibis now that you know the story. And annotate, which means answer the signpost questions on your pink sheet for 6 signposts. Okay, 6 signposts that help you better understand character development. So thinking about, guys, because I don't want you to go off track or waste your time, okay? We are only looking for signposts that show characters developing from where they started at the beginning of the story to where they are at the end of the story,
We're gonna do this as a class.
okay? So we're gonna do this independently. So, signposts, guys, signposts that really help to target character development are these 7. Short sentences and paragraphs beginnings and endings, tough questions, memory moments, changes and surprises, and aha moments. Okay? You can leave everything else off unless you can make a case that this shows character development. Okay? But you are, as you annotate, you're not just labeling, oh, here I found a memory moment. Or, oh, here I see a change or surprise. You are then applying the signpost question for changes and surprise and answering that off to the side in your margin. You see what we're doing here?
Yes.
Okay, so you have until the end of the period to do this, okay? If you don't finish and find and answer all 6 of your signposts, that, you'll notice that I'm not asking you to read 20 minutes tonight. This is what you're finishing if you don't get finished in class. Okay, Rob, a question?
We need to make one of each signpost, or was that more than one?
You could have more than one. I would just sort of say spread it out a little bit because it doesn't make much sense to just only be good at memory moment analysis. Okay? Yes, these are your copies. Okay? Use a pen or a pencil or a highlighter and a pencil, however you want to do it. But remember, your signpost annotations are your answers to those questions. Okay? Yeah.
I need to do what?
Miss Basil? When we did our last signpost thing, it's like all the clips, but I'm just putting it on one card. And the signpost is like just like a short explanation on why that signpost works. Or then put it all together.
I want you to have your signpost analysis directly respond to a section of text.
Alright.
Okay. In the meantime, guys, just to actually, I've got Angels in the Snow analyses to hand back. And just so you are on the right track, I am going to take some time to do this. You will see those of you who are showing signs of mastery, okay, meaning you're exceeding my expectation, proficiency, meaning you are right on target, or needing a little bit more practice based on what you wrote. Either I couldn't understand what you were going for, or maybe your analysis was actually not analysis and it was just summary. So I've got some examples up here for you to kind of reference. It goes everywhere from the character is very hungry and keeps complaining about how it's making him feel. You see that right in the text, you guys, that's summary. A little bit closer here, this memory is important to the character because it's implying that they have not seen family or been home for a while, so they love being there, okay? We start really great. What this section of text would imply is important, but down here, then it ends up in summary. So just explaining like because would help to elaborate, okay? Now, we go up to proficiency. This one's really on the right track, okay? But could go a little bit further. I don't need to read these to you, but I mean, it might be a good idea for you to kind of check in with yourself, okay? We're not shooting for mastery, even though this one's terrific because it includes thoughtful interpretation that we actually didn't talk about in class. This is an observation that I, even having read this story 17 times myself, hadn't considered in this way. Great. But if you are adding your signpost to a literary term like conflict, like characterization, like foreshadowing, and explaining something that is not written expressly in the text, you know you're hitting proficiency. Okay? So I will give these back. These are ungraded. I just wanted to let you know kind of where you are. The ones that you're doing on your own for IBIS, I'm grading them. Mateo?
You need 6.
6.
Yes.
So this is where I've spotted some signposts. So if you can make sense of signpost questions, responding to something that's been highlighted
So
here.
what about the same post like white?
When you analyze a signpost, you answer a signpost question. So you use this bit of text to identify which signpost this might be. And then if you're able to answer a question. So it seems like don't waste your time on all those stuff if it doesn't help you on what we're gonna do next. You know what I mean? You just have to be able to relate it back. If we're using textual evidence, we don't need to just do anything. You gotta be able to relate it back to like conceptual stuff. But the idea is that kind of show this character development.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I just want to review, it's like the beginning of the year is not exactly fresh anymore. So like in case of an emergency, we would.
Don't run
That's
away from
definitely
me.
gonna give me a heart
Once I'm outside.
That's definitely gonna give you a heart attack.
There's a fire emergency in the building. You want to leave the building by the nearest exit or exit stairwell.
It's my Google
Do not use the elevator.
Escape out of.